My fiancé said, "Stop introducing me as your future wife. It makes me look like I settled for less." I replied, "Sure." That night, I pulled my name off every event she'd signed us up for, canceled our venue, and left her an envelope. 2 days later, she opened it, and forgot how to breathe. Sup. Read it. My ex thought she was out of my league and said I was embarrassing her by calling her my future wife, so I ended everything and disappeared from her life. She didn't take that well. Grab your popcorn and enjoy. It gets real nasty. Name's Ethan, 31, male. Her name was Brooke, interior designer at a mid-sized design firm, 32 years old, with a mouth that could melt steel, and an ego that needed its own apartment. We met at a friend's barbecue 3 years ago. I'm a certified welder, pipeline work, structural steel, underwater repairs, the whole deal. Good money, and I get to build things that actually matter. She came up to me while I was manning the grill, said my burger flipping technique was impressive. We ended up talking until the party died, exchanged numbers, and that was that. The first 2 years were good. We had chemistry, similar taste in movies. Both wanted the whole package eventually. Marriage, kids, maybe a house outside the city where I could have a proper workshop. She was ambitious, and I liked that about her. The proposal was nice. I took her to this overlook near the river and got down on one knee with a ring I'd saved up 4 months to buy. She cried, said yes, and posted it on social media before we even got back to the car. My buddy Jake warned me early on. Jake's been my best friend since high school, works as an electrician. He met Brooke at a party about 6 months in, and afterward pulled me aside. "Bro, she's got that look." "What look?" "I don't know, but she's been eyeing every dude here, man. I've seen this before." I told him he was being paranoid, that Brooke wasn't like that she genuinely liked me. Jake just shrugged. "Hope I'm wrong, man." He wasn't wrong, but it took me another 2.5 years to figure that out. We moved in together after 14 months. Set a wedding date for next September. Everything was moving in the right direction. Then about 2 months ago, something changed. It was small at first, like you don't really notice it happening. Brooke started making these little comments about my career, my friends, my potential. Nothing straight up mean. Just these jabs that added up over time. "You're really okay just welding forever? Don't you want something more?" My coworker's husband just made partner at his accounting firm. "I just feel like you could be doing more if you actually tried." "I make good money. Really good money, actually. I clear over 90 grand a year, sometimes more with overtime. I own my truck outright. I've got a solid retirement fund. I'm happy with my work-life balance." I thought she was, too. Here's the thing about my job that Brooke never seemed to get. I'm really good at it. 3 years ago, I was part of the crew that welded the support beams for the new children's hospital downtown. Last summer, I did underwater repairs on a bridge that thousands of people cross every single day. I've built things that matter. There's real pride in that. But to Brooke, I was just a guy who came home with dirty hands. Turns out she was embarrassed by it. So that night we went to her co-worker Madison's engagement party. Big event at some rooftop bar downtown. Lots of Brooke's work people there, all wearing fancy outfits. When we walked in, Brooke's whole vibe changed. Standing up straighter, bigger smile. She spotted some people she wanted to impress. A senior designer at her firm and his wife, plus a couple of other people, and basically dragged me over there. I introduced us the way I always did. "Hey, I'm Ethan and this is my fiancée Brooke, future wife." I'd say it proudly. Normal stuff, basic conversation. Later that night in the car, she brought it up. We weren't even out of the parking garage yet. "Can you not do that?" "Do what?" "Introduce me as your future wife." It's weird. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Weird how we are engaged. "Aren't you going to be my future wife, though?" She got this pinched look on her face. "I know, but you don't need to announce it like that. It makes me feel like you're showing me off or something, like I'm your property." I let it go. Figured she was tired. The party had been long. Whatever. Everyone has bad nights. That's what I told myself. But then 1 week later, we were at a dinner with some of her colleagues, old designer friends she'd known for years. People who'd watched her move up, celebrated her promotions, talked trash about office drama. The restaurant was loud. Conversation was flowing. And when someone asked how we met, I said what I always said. Brooke is my fiancée. We're getting married next September. The table went quiet just for a second. Then conversation picked back up like nothing happened, but I saw Brooke's face go tight, jaw clenched, eyes narrowing eyes. The drive home was silent for the first 10 minutes. I could feel it building. She was staring out the passenger window, arms crossed, practically shaking with whatever she was holding in. Then she let it out. I told you not to introduce me like that. Like what? As my future wife. That's literally what you are. Come on, Brooke. It makes me look like I settled for less. She cut me off. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. You think marrying me makes you look like you settled? She tried to walk it back right away. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. You're twisting my words. I'm just saying you don't have to be so obvious about it. My coworkers are all dating lawyers, executives, and money guys. And she waved her hand at me like I was something gross she'd stepped in. You're a welder. When you announce me as your fiancé, it reminds everyone of that. Reminds everyone that you're marrying someone you think is beneath you. I didn't say beneath me. God, stop twisting my words. You basically said that. She went quiet after that. Didn't apologize. Didn't take it back. Just said she had a headache and went to bed. I sat in the living room for 3 hours staring at nothing, going through every comment she'd made, every little dig about my career, every comparison to her coworkers' partners. What kept hitting me was how casual she'd said it. 3 years together, a ring on her finger, and this is how she thought about me. I thought about all the overtime I'd worked to buy that ring. 4 months of saving, actually believing I was the luckiest guy alive. I was an idiot. The thing about moments like that is they make you look back at everything. Once Brooke said what she said, I couldn't unsee the pattern. It was like finally seeing what was always right in front of you. It was 3 years of her treating me like garbage. I couldn't sleep that night. Kept staring at the ceiling. Mentally going through every interaction from the past couple months, every dinner party, every weekend brunch, every random comment that I'd brushed off because I didn't want to start a fight. There was dinner at her parents' house last month. Her younger sister had just gotten engaged to some finance guy. When her dad asked how my work was going, Brooke cut in before I could answer. Same old stuff, then steered the conversation back to her sister's ring and wedding plans. Her mom, Victoria, was the worst of all of them. Every time I saw her, she'd find some way to remind me that Brooke could have done better. Brooke never once stood up for me. Not a single time. She'd just smile awkwardly and change the subject. I remembered a conversation we'd had a few weeks ago. We were getting ready for bed and Brooke mentioned that her coworker's boyfriend had just gotten promoted to VP at his company. Good for him, I said, not really paying attention. He's only 29 and already a VP. Can you imagine? The way she said it, like she was comparing us. Some people care more about titles than anything else, I said. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not for everyone. She just made a little noise and went back to her phone. Jake had been right all along. Brooke had been showing me exactly who she was for months. I'd just been too invested to see it. The night after our fight, I couldn't sleep. Kept replaying her words in my head. Around 2 a.m., I got up and went to my laptop. Started going through my email, looking at all the upcoming events Brooke had RSVP'd us for. Her friend's bridal shower, a design industry gala in December, her college roommate's birthday party, a bunch of brunches and dinners spread across the next few months. For every single one, she'd added me as her +1 without asking. The partner she was apparently embarrassed by, but still needed there, so she didn't look single. I pulled up each event one by one, found the host's email, started writing messages. Hi, this is Ethan. I wanted to let you know I won't be able to make it after all. Sorry for the late notice and any hassle this causes. Polite. No drama. No explanation. Just letting them know I was removing myself from her schedule. Some of the responses came in before I even went to bed. Madison from the bridal shower sent a worried message asking if everything was okay. I responded with a generic personal stuff explanation. Taylor from the gala emailed back almost right away saying she understood and hoped to see me at future events. There wouldn't be any future events. By the time I finished, it was almost 4 a.m. I closed my laptop and went back to bed. Brooke was asleep, completely clueless. The next morning was Friday. Brooke got up, did her usual routine, acted like nothing had happened. That was her move whenever we had a fight. Just pretend it didn't happen, and wait for me to get over it. I watched her move around the apartment like everything was fine, humming to herself while she made coffee, checking her phone, completely unbothered. The nerve was almost impressive. She was getting ready for work, standing in front of the bathroom mirror, doing her makeup, when she casually mentioned the bridal shower. "Did you confirm we're going to Madison's shower this weekend?" I was sitting on the edge of the bed watching her. "About that, I canceled." She stopped. "What? Why?" "Because you're embarrassed to introduce me as your fiancé. So, I figured you'd rather go to these things alone. Avoids the whole settled problem." Her face went through confused, annoyed, and scared in about 2 seconds. "Don't be stupid. I'm giving you what you want. You don't want people knowing you're marrying me. So, go to your events by yourself. Problem solved." "Oh my gosh, you're being a child. I'm being real with you. You said what you said. I heard you. Now I'm doing something about it. You can't just I can." And I did. I left for work before she could say anything else. My coworker, Marcus, was already at the job site when I got there. Marcus has been welding for 20 years. Got 4 kids, 2 ex-wives. He took one look at my face and knew something was up. "Man, you look like somebody ran over your dog. What's going on?" I told him everything. The settled comment, the months of digs, the way Brooke had been treating me like something to be ashamed of. Marcus put down his equipment and shook his head. "Dude, I had a woman like that once. Second wife, spent 3 years making me feel like garbage because I work with my hands. Know what I did? Divorced her and married a woman who actually brags about what I do. My wife now tells people I'm basically an artist who works with fire." He clapped me on the shoulder. "You deserve someone who thinks you're a catch. Don't forget that." I didn't forget it. All day while I was working, those words kept running through my head. Throughout the day, my phone blew up. Brooke texted me probably 40 times. First angry, then defensive, then trying to backpedal. Around noon, she tried calling. The voicemail was a mess of crying and anger. I responded once. "I heard exactly what you meant. Have fun at brunch." Then I put my phone in my toolbox and got back to work. During lunch, I texted Brooke's friend, Sarah. She was the one friend of Brooke's who'd actually seemed to respect what I did. I told her what Brooke had said, word for word. Long pause. "Then she told you that you make her look like she settled." Exact words. "Can't say I'm shocked. I've heard the way she talks about you when you're not there." Hearing that from someone else was both validating and a punch in the gut at the same time. "What are you going to do?" "I'm ending it, but I need you to help me with something." The brunch Brooke was going to on Sunday was at this trendy restaurant her friend group loved. Exposed brick, overpriced eggs, and fancy drinks. Sarah was going to be there. So was Brooke. So were about 10 other women from their circle. My plan was simple. I was going to have an envelope delivered to Brooke's seat before she got there. Inside, a letter explaining exactly why I was ending our engagement, plus a copy of our wedding venue's cancellation confirmation. Yeah, I was canceling the venue before I officially told her we were done. I wanted her to know without any doubt that she'd messed up. Friday evening, I sat down at my desk and wrote the letter. Kept it simple. I explained how her comments over the past months had made me feel. Listed specific things she'd said, the shots at my career, the comparisons to her coworkers' partners, the settled comment, the way she'd rush past any mention of my work in conversations, the way she'd steer me away from the people she actually wanted to impress at events. I included dates where I could remember them, specific situations, specific words. I wanted her to see the pattern the way I'd finally seen it. The letter ended simply. I said straight up that I was ending the engagement because I deserved someone who was proud to be with me, not someone who saw me as a project that didn't work out. Saturday morning, I called the wedding venue. We'd booked this place about 5 months ago. Nice outdoor spot, good food, the whole deal. I told them I needed to cancel due to a change in circumstances. They were cool about it. Said they'd process the paperwork and send a confirmation email. It came through about 2 hours later. I printed it out. Then I called Sarah, explained exactly what I needed her to do. She agreed right away. Said she'd work with the restaurant to have the envelope put at Brooke's seat before anyone showed up. Saturday afternoon, Brooke tried a different approach. She came home from running errands and found me in the living room playing video games. She sat down next to me, put her hand on my knee, did the whole sweet act. Work's been stressing me out. I didn't mean to hurt you. Obviously, I'm proud to be marrying you. You're just taking it the wrong way. I paused my game, looked at her. So, you're not embarrassed to introduce me as your future husband? No, of course not. Then why did you say it makes you look like you settled? She kept saying I was misunderstanding, that she'd said it wrong, that she loved me and wanted to move past this. You going to the brunch tomorrow? I asked. Yes, but I want you to come. Please, let's just go together and get past this. I'm not going. You'll have to tell your friends why I'm not there. What am I supposed to say? Tell them the truth. She didn't like that. We spent Saturday mostly in different rooms. That evening, she asked one more time if I changed my mind about the brunch. I said no. She went to bed frustrated. Sunday morning came in gray and cloudy, which felt about right. Brooke got up early, spent over an hour getting ready for brunch. Full makeup, nice outfit, the whole thing. Before she left, she asked me one last time if I was coming. No. She stood in the doorway for a second, keys in her hand, looking at me like she was trying to figure out what was going on in my head. Then she left. The door closed behind her, and I checked my watch. 10:28 a.m. The brunch was set for 11 a.m. Sarah had already set it up with the restaurant to have the envelope put at Brooke's seat before anyone got there. She told them it was a surprise from a friend. I waited. At 10:52, Sarah texted me, "Envel is there. Her seat is at the head of the table. This is going to be wild." I didn't respond, just sat there in the quiet apartment watching the minutes go by. At 11:15, my phone started ringing. Brooke. I didn't answer. She called again and again. At 11:25, Sarah texted me. She opened it. Everyone staring. She just bolted without saying anything. I still didn't respond. My phone kept ringing. Brooke over and over. I let it go to voicemail every time. At 11:40, I heard the front door slam open so hard it bounced off the wall. Brooke came storming in, envelope crushed in her fist, face red and blotchy, mascara running down her cheeks in streaks. She looked like a mess. What is this? She threw the envelope at me, the papers scattered across the floor. I didn't flinch, just sat there on the couch, calm as can be. It's exactly what it says. Cancellation confirmation for our wedding venue. You canceled our venue without even talking to me. You told me marrying you makes you look like you settled. I figured I'd fix that. No wedding, no settling. She stared at me. The silence stretched out, thick and ugly. I could see her brain working, trying to figure out how to flip this, how to make herself the victim. You're dumping me over one comment. It wasn't one comment. It was months of you making me feel like I'm not good enough. Like you're ashamed of me. Like you're only with me because you couldn't find someone better. I kept my voice steady. I'm done being someone's backup plan. You're not my backup plan. You're being dramatic. Then why have you been comparing me to your co-workers' partners for months? Why does your mom treat me like a charity case and you never once said anything? Her expression changed. The tears stopped. The desperation drained away, replaced by something harder. Fine. You want to throw away 3 years over your bruised little ego? Go ahead. See how long it takes you to find someone else. Someone who will actually want a guy who comes home smelling like smoke and sweat. You'll realize what you lost. You'll come crawling back. I almost laughed. I won't. Yeah, you will. Because I'm the best you're ever going to get, Ethan. I'm the best you'll ever have. And when you figure that out, don't expect me to take you back. There it was. The real her. Finally out in the open. Out 3 years. And this is who she'd been the whole time. I picked up my keys from the table. I'll give you a few days to find somewhere else to stay. Then I'm changing the locks. I walked past her toward the door. Where are you going? Oh. When I get back, I'd appreciate it if you started packing. I left before she could say anything else. The next week was a mess. She didn't take the breakup quietly, not even close. Day 1, she called me 45 times. Didn't answer a single one. The voicemails ranged from crying and begging to screaming and threatening. One message left around 2 a.m. was just her sobbing so hard I couldn't understand a word for 3 straight minutes. Another one left an hour later was her calling me every name she could think of and promising I'd regret this. Another one was her saying she forgave me and we could start over if I just picked up. Jake listened to a few of the voicemails with me the next day. His professional take: "Bro, she sounds like a smoke detector having a breakdown. You dodged a bullet the size of a truck." Day 2, her mother, Victoria, showed up at my job site, just rolled up in her BMW, climbed out in her fancy clothes, and started marching toward me like she was about to sue somebody. The site supervisor tried to stop her, but she blew past him like he wasn't there. Security at a job site full of heavy machinery and open flames, and this woman just walks right through like she runs the place. What do you think you're doing to my daughter? I put down my welding torch. Breaking up with her. Pretty self-explanatory. You humiliated her in front of all her friends. You embarrassed our entire family. Do you have any idea what people are saying? She humiliated me for months. Guess you two are more alike than I thought. Victoria's face went purple. Brooke could have had anyone. Lawyers, doctors, men with real careers. She chose you. She lowered herself for you. And this is how you thank her. Lowered herself. There it is. I picked up my torch again. Then let her have who deserves her. Now get off my job site before I have security drag you out. She left, but not before threatening to ruin my life and promising I'd never work in the city again, which was funny. Typical rich person threats. All talk, no actual power. Day 3, Brooke went nuclear and made a big mistake. I came home from work to find my apartment trashed. Clothes thrown everywhere, dishes smashed in the sink, food dumped on the floor. She'd poured a gallon of milk onto my couch. Broke 3 picture frames. Then I saw this and my heart dropped to my ass. Sitting in the middle of the living room in pieces on the carpet was my PS4. She'd taken a hammer to it. The controller, the console, everything completely destroyed. There was still a game disc in there, shattered into like 20 pieces. It was Ghost of Tsushima. I was 60 hours in. Hadn't even finished Act 2 yet. I felt like I couldn't breathe. But here's what really got me. She'd also destroyed the external hard drive. 5 years of save files gone. Every game I'd ever played, every achievement I'd ever earned, every hour I'd ever put in. Wiped out because she was mad I wouldn't let her settle for me anymore. There was a note on what was left of the console. Now we're even. I stood there for a solid 10 minutes just staring at the damage. Then I took photos of everything. Every broken dish, every piece of clothing on the floor, every chunk of my PS4. Documented all of it. Then I called the cops. Destruction of property. That's what the report said. Estimated damage around $600 for the PS4 alone, plus a few hundred more for everything else she'd broken. The cop looked around the apartment, shook his head, and said, "Man, I've been doing this 15 years, and this is like the 4th PS4 I've seen destroyed this month." I appreciated the solidarity. That night, while I was cleaning up the mess, I found the engagement ring. She'd left it on the kitchen counter, probably as some dramatic gesture. I picked it up, looked at it for a long time, thought about all the overtime I'd worked to pay for it, all the months I'd saved, all the hope I'd had when I bought it. Then I got an idea. The next morning, I brought the ring to work, showed it to Marcus during lunch. "What are you going to do with it?" he asked. "Sell it. Pawn it. Better." I fired up my torch and got to work. Took me about 40 minutes, but when I was done, I had a small, lumpy, ugly blob of melted gold with a tiny diamond still stuck in it. I welded a little hook onto the top. It was now a keychain, the most expensive, ugliest keychain ever made. And it was beautiful. I texted Brooke a photo of it later that day with a simple message. "Thanks for leaving this. Made myself a little souvenir." Her response was immediate and unhinged. 17 texts in a row. Apparently, she'd only left the ring there temporarily and was planning to come back for it. Apparently, I just destroyed $4,000 of her property, and she was going to sue me for everything I had. I responded once. "I paid for it. My property, my keychain. Have a good one." Then I blocked her number. Marcus laughed about that keychain for a week. Called it the best use of a welding torch he'd ever seen. I still have it. Keep it on my work keys as a reminder of what happens when you make a welder feel like he's not good enough. Day 4, I changed the locks. Then I boxed up all of Brooke's remaining stuff and left it on the porch. But before I put those boxes out, I did something else first. See, over the course of 3 years, I'd bought Brooke a lot of nice things. Birthday gifts, anniversary presents, random surprises, a designer handbag she'd been wanting for months, a nice watch, some jewelry, a cashmere sweater she wore maybe twice, probably close to $3,000 worth of stuff. All in her closet, all bought with my money. Technically, gifts belong to whoever got them once you give them. I know that. But here's the thing about Brooke's stuff being in my apartment right after she'd taken a hammer to my PS4. I wasn't feeling very technical. I drove everything to the women's shelter downtown, walked in with 2 bags full of designer stuff, and told the woman at the front desk I wanted to donate. She looked at the handbag, looked at the watch, looked at me like I was crazy. "Sir, are you sure? This is really nice stuff, 100%. Someone should actually use it." I got a donation receipt, itemized, kept it in my glove box. Brooke found out a couple days later when she came to pick up her boxes and realized the good stuff was gone. The text came fast and angry. "Where is my Kate Spade bag, Ethan? I swear to God, that watch was a gift. You can just take it back." I sent her one reply. A photo of the donation receipt. She called me 20 times in the next hour. I didn't answer any of them. But according to Sarah, Brooke completely lost it. Started calling the shelter demanding they give her stuff back. The shelter obviously told her that's not how donations work. She threatened to sue them. They basically told her good luck. She showed up in person the next day, demanded to talk to a manager, and caused such a scene that they had to ask her to leave. Sarah said Brooke kept yelling, "That's a $700 bag." Like the shelter workers were supposed to care. They didn't. They'd already given it to a woman escaping a bad home situation. Someone who actually needed something good to happen. The best part, I got to write off the donation on my taxes. $3,000 in deductions because my ex couldn't keep her hands off my PS4. Then I texted her telling her where the rest of her stuff was and that she had 48 hours to get it before that went to Goodwill, too. Her response was a bunch of emojis. There was a knife emoji, a fire emoji, and for some reason, a dancing lady in a red dress. I honestly had no idea what she was trying to say. Jake's guess. I think she's saying she's going to stab you and burn down your place while doing salsa. Helpful as always. Day 5, she showed up at my job site again, this time with backup. Her friend Stephanie and some dude I didn't recognize. They stood at the edge of the work zone yelling at me while I pretended I couldn't hear them over the welding equipment. Eventually, security walked them out. Marcus watched the whole thing go down and just shook his head. Day 6. I got a letter from a lawyer. Brooke was threatening to sue me for emotional distress and breach of promise to marry. I showed it to Jake, who laughed so hard he almost choked on his sandwich. Breach of promise? That's not even a real thing anymore. He was right. Nothing ever came of it, but the fact that she'd even tried told me everything I needed to know about how far off the deep end she'd gone. Day 7. I filed a restraining order. Between the property destruction, the job site harassment, the threatening voicemails, and the constant calls, I had more than enough proof. The judge granted a temporary order the same day. When I showed Marcus the paperwork, he actually clapped. "Welcome to the club, brother. I got one against my first ex back in 2008. Best piece of paper I ever signed." 3 weeks after the restraining order, I heard through Sarah that Brooke got fired. I don't know the exact details. Sarah said it was officially a restructuring decision, but the timing was suspicious. Apparently, there'd been some internal review of employees with pending legal issues, something about liability and client-facing roles. Whether my restraining order had anything to do with it, I couldn't say for sure, but sometimes things just work out that way. Brooke tried to spin it as a layoff. Posted on social media about being a victim of corporate downsizing, but people at the design firm knew the real story, or at least parts of it. Word travels fast in offices like that. Life moved on. I replaced the couch that still smelled like spoiled milk. Cleaned up the apartment, got back into a normal routine. 2 months later, I was at a bar with Jake and Marcus. Friday night, just unwinding after a long week. We'd grabbed a booth near the back, ordered some wings and sodas, and were watching the game on the TV above the bar. That's when she walked in. Brooke, clearly a total mess, hair disheveled, makeup smeared, wearing some kind of sparkly party dress that looked like it had been slept in at least once. She was with a group of people I didn't recognize. But the second she spotted me across the bar, she broke away from them and headed straight for me. "Ethan." She started stumbling toward our table, almost face-planting when she bumped into a bar stool. "Ethan, there you are." Jake looked at me. "Is that yep? Oh man, this is going to be good." He was already pulling out his phone. Marcus just groaned. "Bro, I thought we left this mess at work." She reached our table and planted herself right in front of it, swaying like she was on a boat in a storm. The whole bar was starting to notice. People were turning to look. Someone near the front took out their phone. "Ethan, Ethan, Ethan, Ethan." She could barely get the words out straight. "I've been looking for you for weeks, months. Time is weird, you know. Brooke, you need to leave. There's a restraining order." She waved her hand like she was swatting a fly. "That thing. That's just paper. Paper can't keep us apart." She pointed at me dramatically, almost poking herself in the eye. "I wrote you something. I wrote you a song." Marcus nearly spit out his drink. "A song? A song? Because you broke my heart, Ethan. You broke it into a million pieces. Little tiny pieces like glass or a PS4. She laughed at her own joke. "Nobody else did. And I put those pieces into a song. And now you're going to hear it." I looked at Jake. He was definitely recording now. Phone held up steady. Before anyone could stop her, Brooke climbed up onto the empty chair next to our booth. It wobbled hard, but she managed to steady herself by grabbing the edge of our table. Someone at the bar yelled, "Let's go." And suddenly, everyone was watching. This wasn't a private conversation anymore. This was public entertainment. Brooke cleared her throat, held one hand over her heart like she was about to sing the anthem, and started. It was bad. It was so bad. She was completely off key. Couldn't remember half the words and kept stopping to explain what her metaphors meant. "Ethan, you were my sunset. You were my sunrise. And I was your moon. No, that doesn't hold on. That doesn't work because the moon doesn't let me start over." She started over twice. The second time, she added hand gestures that looked like she was trying to direct traffic while having a stroke. The third time, she closed her eyes and swayed so hard she almost fell off the chair. Jake had his phone out, recording everything. His face was bright red from trying not to laugh. Marcus had given up completely and was just openly cracking up, slapping the table. The song went on for what felt like forever, but was probably about 3 minutes. She made it through maybe 2 verses before forgetting the words entirely and just making stuff up. "You were supposed to be my forever, my together, my whatever, the weather." By the end, she was crying. The entire bar was dying laughing. and the bartender was walking over with a worried look and a bouncer right behind him. "You were supposed to love me forever," Brooke wailed, still standing on the chair, mascara running down her face. "I was the best thing that ever happened to you. You'll never find anyone like me. Never." The whole bar was dead quiet now. Even the TVs seemed like they got softer. Everyone was watching. Jake leaned over and whispered, "Dude, this is your moment. Don't blow it." I looked up at her totally calm. Let the silence hang for just a second longer. Then that's kind of the point. The whole bar lost it. Someone actually started clapping. A guy near the pool table yelled, "Get wrecked." Brooke's face went from emotional wreck to completely mortified in about half a second. I watched reality hit her like a truck. The bartender and bouncer gently helped her down from the chair and started walking her toward the door. She tried to fight it, tried to say something else, but they weren't having it. Her friends who'd come in with her were gone. Probably bailed the second the singing started. The last thing I heard before she got pushed out the door was her sobbing something about how I'd ruined her life and how everyone was going to regret not believing in her. Jake was still recording as she got helped into an Uber. The driver looked like he already regretted picking up this fare. Jake stopped the video and looked at me with the biggest grin I'd ever seen. "Dude, I'm keeping this forever." He wasn't kidding. The video made its way around our friend group within a day. Jake showed it to everyone at work. It became one of those stories that gets brought up every time we're all together. Brooke tried texting me a few days later asking me to make Jake delete the video. I didn't respond. Sarah texted me around the same time. Said Brooke had moved back in with her parents. Victoria was furious, not at Brooke, but at me for not being man enough to handle a strong woman. Life's been good since then. I replaced my PS4 with a PS5, courtesy of the small claims judgment I won against Brooke for property destruction. She didn't show up to the hearing. Easy win. I've been hanging out with Jake and Marcus more, working on a project in my garage, an old motorcycle that's finally starting to look like something. Last month, I ran into Brooke's sister. She said she was sorry about everything, that she'd always thought I was a good guy, and Brooke had really messed up. That's the thing about people like Brooke. They spend so much time worrying about what everyone else thinks that they never stop to consider what they're actually bringing to the table. I'm 31, single, living in an apartment that's all mine with a brand new PS5. Learning that being alone is way better than being with someone who makes you feel small. Guys, we are so close to hitting 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.